So hello everyone, Monon here. Let's start Ancient Magus Bride episode 3. Another really beautiful episode. Very touching, very emotional episode. But I think I will do like a short review. I usually do in anime and so on because there's only one big scene to talk about, right? Yeah. So I'm not saying that's bad or not. I'm saying it's just one big scene. And I mean, obviously, one thing though that might be a little bad, arguably, is that it's slow, right? This anime is slow. It's very beautiful. And I love the whole scene. I almost cried. Very close to it, but on the same time, the one thing I do lack in this anime though is that it doesn't really connect to like some major plot. I feel, even though the one thing obviously is getting a great detail here. She's getting involved after his body. So that being said, I didn't really like the episode. I did love it though, but it's like yeah, it's slow. So you gotta get used to that. You get used to that. But anyway. So first of all, there's obviously one thing there that she tried to commit suicide when she was, I guess, like junior high school or like senior high school, yeah, something there like 15, 16, maybe a little younger. She tried to commit suicide or like she almost did, but then she changed her mind. That was thrown out there from never reading her mind. So that was some more backstory with Chise, and I guess the anime is gonna like slowly show us more of her backstory, I guess. We saw the mom again there so very quickly, which we know of course did suicide from 2 and so on, right, and from the OVA. So that was important, and Never's like, oh, but then then the poor Elias wouldn't have an apprentice. I think about that, yeah, don't kill yourself, honey. So that was good. And then of course he showed his memory, how to fly, yeah. And it was like, we saw flying for a while, but he knew this stuff and so on, and that was very beautiful. And then of course he did die or perish then after that, which was predictable, but it was beautiful, and very quickly turned into a tree. And of course you could look around them, you could see like the old trees and moss and grass on the dragons. So that was a great. It was very beautiful, but that's pretty much the episode, right? To be honest, it's like in a little way, it's one of the slowest death in anime ever. It's like almost like a full episode, just one long death scene. It's like, okay, this guy is dying here, and he's lying here, like explaining how to fly, and then it's over, and then it dies. So that is pretty much the episode. It's beautiful, but it's the one thing I do lack is kind of the main. Some kind of main narrative, right? Some kind of red line going through the door. So I will say though, I really like that though. I really like that he was dying, and of course he said, "You need a wand. When you're a mage, honey, you need a wand. Take one of my branches, one of my body part, and make it a wand." I was like, "Oh, dragon wand!" Because usually a dragon wand, something like a bone of a dragon, right? Something like that. And it's like, oh yeah, the dragon turned into a tree, and you make a wand out of a tree. Oh, that's brilliant. That was really brilliant. So if that part was really good, and that of course to me at least connects to like the kind of major plot line, right? That she's becoming a mage, having to fight evil people or whatever and so on, right? Or saving dragons and so on. So obviously it's a one later on there. So that still makes it important, right? That makes it important for the overall, I guess, plot. But one thing I do like though is that there's nothing anything grander yet in the anime, which is a little weird. I was hoping that the dragon mage guy might be evil or something like that, or something. But yeah, it's very mysterious anime, right? Because we see that Elias and what's his name, Lely, yeah, he left right, talked for a while about like, oh, dragons are dying, this thing is dying. So of course there is something menacing out there, right? But we as a viewer don't really get into that. So it's a mystery for us, mystery for Chise. Of course we see it from her eyes, so it makes sense. But it's like you want to see more of the anime, regardless, because it's very beautiful. But just like on that part, it's kind of like yeah, you do want to know a little bit. I would like a little bit knowledge in that like mysterious thing happening on the side, right? But otherwise. One thing I want to say too, I kind of like the comedy. Like it's not much comedy in the episode, it's like 2 jokes. But I think in the anime, when it does comedy, it does it really brilliant. Yeah, like it's like release up, it just in the water. It's like then it gets kind of her suicide tendencies though. But and then next scene in Dragon, I was like, "Humans can fly, right? Let's fly from the rock." It's like that was really funny. So you only had 2 jokes, but they were really good. So I think that also makes the anime even better. Like it's very rare, but when it does its comedy, well, I mean, episode 2 had a lot of my jokes, but when it does comedy, it does it pretty good actually. It's also a good point though. And that's pretty much it. I like the episode, but I would do wish they had a little more like, okay, what's the main plot? Or like, not saying that it had to be. Like I felt like 5 minutes of this episode should have been more like what is Elias talking about, right? Like what's happening on the side. A little bit of that, a little like foreshadowing, also kind of major narrative, then some progression, yeah, something like that, like antagonist. I don't know. That is probably the only thing I'm lacking for this episode. I felt like I guess the whole thing is like we're keeping that on the side for now, so the reader wants to read more and finally get it. But it's a little to me. I must say I'm gonna quit that because I think it's very, very beautiful anyway, right? But I say that could be a little more motivating. I feel showing something like that. But anyways, I did really like the episode though, especially it's a very beautiful, like slow anime with a lot of emotions, right? So yeah, I'm very excited to see what Sam's gonna go through. It's like 2 seasons, right? 26 after that episode, at least. Of course, they have a lot of stuff to work out there. And even though it's slow, like it feels meaningful, right? It's not like some bad filler episode when it's like, oh, nothing's happening. This actually is like every scene here is beautiful. It's very scenery and it's very emotional. So even though it's slow, it actually has like a purpose every second, right? So that makes it still watchable. I mean not still watchable. Maybe like you're excited when you're watching it. So, anyways, I really liked it. I hope you guys follow me next week and see it again. And have a great day.